Let's start off with a quick demonstration so you guys don't think I'm being hyperbolic. I'm level 50. I'm on Ultimate Vault Hunter rank 5, which means the enemies have an additional 350% HP, so they are pretty beefy boys. I'm going to be using a level 32 weapon, so just a little bit outdated at this point, and I'm going to only have 15 skill points spent. Let's see how long it takes to kill the boss. I actually haven't done this, so I guess we'll find out. Usually I have skill points spent. You make sure we don't miss. He's in prime position. Right, that was one shot. I think he's dying, guys. Oh, down he goes. Down he goes. That was a literal one shot. Ooh. Shiny? What we get? Haven't gotten this yet, so we'll go try that out. Alright. Now let's talk about how you too can do the exact same thing. It's pretty easy. This character's completely busted. Abuse it while you can. Alright, so here we are over at the training dummy, and I'll give you a quick little demonstration and explain how you too can do this. So basically, there's only one thing that you need that is hard to get. Once you have that, it's extremely easy to basically do this to any boss with any other gear. The one thing that you need is going to be the Penetrator Augment Throwing Knife. I found this at level 35. I have not found another one since. They seem to be extremely rare. I found mine doing the drill site. I'll just show it on the map, I suppose. I think it can just drop anywhere, to be honest with you, but if anybody's curious, I literally can't move in the map right now. Super weird. Anyways, I just actually freaked out. That was weird. I got mine farming the battle wagon, but you can also farm splash zone and probably just get one a little bit faster. The reason that this is so good is that it causes any damage that you deal to the target to be an automatic critical hit. So let's say that I throw a throwing knife at this target dummy here. Any hit that I do, even if I shoot him in the body, you can see that it is a critical hit. Now you see how I have bleed stacking here, and those bleeds are going to count as critical hits. So this is the first thing that I was worried about. I actually saw an image of this knife in like one of the preview events, and I was like, if that applies to status effects or just like all sources of damage, that's going to be absolutely broken. I was probably going to make a separate video on this because it's very good for every class, but it is even more so good / broken on Vex because you can abuse it with Bloodletter. What Bloodletter does is it means that your guns have a chance to apply a bleed. This bleed actually counts as gun damage and it is based on the initial damage dealt. However, it by default only has a 50% chance, but it actually gets affected by status effect application chance. And if you have enough application chance paired with the knife, basically what happens is that it is going to be reprocking itself infinitely and guarantee critting over and over again. So not only is it going to benefit from crit damage multipliers and all sorts of additional damage, but it's also going to be procking itself because by default it procs off of crits, and any damage that you do can crit. And then if you throw the knife on them, now the actual bleed itself can crit, and it just creates a literal infinite loop of damage. You could sit here for a few minutes and end up hitting infinite numbers on the target dummy. That is literally the only thing that you need is the throwing knife, like I have here. And then one other thing that helps quite a lot with it, you can do infinite damage without this, but this really makes a massive difference, is the contamination node. I actually didn't even have it spec'd, so that is pretty insane. If I had this spec'd, I probably would have killed that boss significantly faster because it's going to make crits have an increased status effect application chance. And this goes up to 100% total, which means that, but that is going to turn, yeah, I understand. That is going to turn Bloodletter into a 100% chance of reprocking itself over and over again, which means that you don't have to like win a 50-50 and get lucky when it's critting. It's basically just going to continue ramping over and over and over again. And you can see I'm just using like a normal shotgun. I don't have any talent spec or anything like that. And you can see the damage is just going to continue to ramp up because it is a literal infinite damage thing. And I wanted to demonstrate it on the boss without any like gear or skill tree or anything like that, just to demonstrate that you can do it with literally no gear. Nothing. You don't need anything at all. I have been talking to somebody that has said that they've tried this in co-op and for some reason they can't like get it to work. I don't really know what's going on there, but it could be some weird thing with co-op. I don't know. Or maybe his character's just bugged. Who knows? One way to take very good advantage of this is basically use anything that's going to have very high on-hit damage in just one instance of damage. This is why I used my level 32 shotgun, because it has spread launcher, which does 5,800 times 5, which is obviously a lot higher than the 6,100 that my hot slugga does. So I highly recommend using something like a high damage sniper rifle. I think like micro rocket is a pretty high damage value. Spread launcher is high damage. knife launcher's high, and then you pair this with an amp, and then you just nuke a boss. But like you saw in the gameplay, you can nuke a boss with a level 32 weapon and no skill tree points. So imagine you could. I do it all the time. I just run around with this thing. I throw the knife on them, and then I just shoot them normally, and then they just completely die. I'll actually just show a clip of this because I do it all the time. I barely ever swap to the spread launcher thing unless it's like a boss that I think is particularly beefy. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need. Get to farming, look at every single throwing knife that you find, because even if they patch the bloodletter stacking on top of itself, this is still just going to be absolutely insane if it is going to enable all sources of damage to crit. I honestly think that this should get nerfed, but people are going to get really mad at me if I say that. So now, if you're curious about like how you actually want to set up your character in the end game and stuff like that, I am still like doing a lot of fine tuning on testing and all sorts of stuff. I will have a build link planned all the way down below. But in terms of what I'm doing to kind of maximize this, the damage is so high that what I really want to do is just try to min-max my actual like ad clear potential. So I'm using like a fireworks thing, which helps a lot with the ad clear. The shotgun basically just one-shots everything, but I kind of want to find something that is a little bit better than this. But I think I just need to beef up my overall damage. Obviously, I have a class mod with Bloodletter on it, which helps the Bloodletter do more damage, but I honestly think it's probably bad to use that because the bleed does infinite damage very, very fast. So I really don't need the class mod. I'm basically just using it for an extra 3 points. I'd be much better off using like something else, but generally what I've been doing, I'll just like put some points in so you can see what I've been doing most of the time. I usually like to go into enchantment because that gives quite a lot of damage. Hasty Fiend feels pretty good for movement speed. I was going to I tried out Sanguine Fiends with like a lot of Spectres. That felt pretty cool. Cold Iron's a little bit mid. With these last few points, I'm kind of like iffy. I really like material components. Guns and Needles feels pretty good to have the amp up more often. I tried Mortal Terror quite a bit. I don't really like it that much. At this point, like with these last 18 points, you can honestly do whatever. You have like the bulk of a lot of the really high damage related things. I think what I was actually going to try to do was go down here, yeah, get the kill skill effectiveness here. And then I have 11 more points. I think I was going to go here because reload speed feels pretty good with the shotgun. And then maybe I go status effect damage, or maybe I go gun damage. I don't know. Who knows? Still testing a lot of stuff. I like the Grave Fiend's node as well. And I'm just messing around with Energy Vampire right now, but I've been using Spectres quite a lot. I think they feel like they fell off a little bit now that I got into Ultimate Bolt Hunter 5, but I also literally just got here and I have not been min-maxing my damage whatsoever. So the only things I'd say that are pretty good or almost mandatory would be Grave Sights, Bloodletter, of course, Grave Implements, Grave Power, Material Components, and Enchantment, and then everything else is probably up in the air. And I'll have an updated endgame build in the future. When it comes to the specialization, this is extremely expensive to respec. So I would probably just do 10 into or 20 into brute first because 50% gun damage will probably always be good almost no matter what. And then go sharpshooter and only put a few points in so that you can gain access to killer. And then you go contamination, which is the very broken node and is one of the main ways that you can actually enable this. Past that, I'm literally not spending my points because I don't really know where I want to go. I like the action skill related things in Daredevil, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. It's very particular. I wanted to do like a minion build where I spam the rep kit and use Bloodshot. And basically I'm spamming the rep kit, and every time I spam the rep kit, I get the minions back so I can keep the minions up. But I don't know, like I said, I am in the stage if I just hit like basically full end game and now I just want to test stuff. But I've seen a lot of people playing Vex and they don't know that they can do this, and I see them struggling on bosses, and it's like it's as simple as get the knife, shoot your gun, everything explodes. It's pretty insane. So yeah, for my next spec points, like these nodes seem kind of bad. These last two seem pretty bad unless this works with every application of the bleed. I don't know. It's weird because Borderlands, like you need to test a lot of stuff, right? I think I like one shot, one kill, especially when using the shotgun, but you know, I'll figure that out. Anyways, hopefully you guys found the video helpful. If you did, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and build link will be down below, but I'm going to be working on this and iterating it quite a lot. If you are still leveling, leveling build will be linked down below as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.